Good afternoon. It is a somewhat hazy day here in Nairobi, and I'm heading with my eldest on another daddy daughter day to Pin's Entertainment because she has not gone bowling yet. And I also wanted to talk about some of the things you have to think about when you're raising a kid here in Kenya. I want to go over things like school fees, bullying, um, and just what it's kind of like being a parent in Kenya.
Yeah, so Pins is actually located in the Sarit Center. Sarit is one of the larger malls in Kenya, and we actually ended up going on a weekend. And I was kind of surprised that the mall was pretty empty because malls in Kenya aren't like malls in the States. They are very much like malls used to be back in the day, where everyone used to hang out on the weekends. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, I didn't have very high hopes for uh, pins because, bowling's not the most popular sport in the United States, but I was actually quite shocked. It's got a very small town bowling alley vibe going on. Wasn't anything super fancy by any means. It's no Bolero, but it certainly looked like it was going to get the job done. So I did a quick breeze of the menu, ended up deciding to get myself a coffee and my daughter a milkshake. She wanted the chicken sandwich and fries, and I decided to go with the wings, which I'm going to be perfectly honest, and I think I mentioned it later in the video. They were kind of garbage.
They have popcorn. You want popcorn? Okay. Go ask her if she. Oh. Can you also bring some popcorn too? Yes. This one. Dang, this music is loud as heck. Oh, okay. It's not. Before I was so rudely interrupted. Raising kids in Kenya. Obviously, my situation's a bit different. You know, my biological children are much younger, so I don't have to worry about schooling for them just yet. But my stepdaughter, she has to go to school. So my wife and I, we pay about $75K per semester. That's like just north of like 500. I might be doing the math wrong, so please you can Google it. I'll probably pin it in the comment. Exactly. You got what? You got a 4? Okay. All right. Keep it up. Anyway. Yeah, this is tartar sauce they've got for these wings. I don't know why they did that. But these wings are very mid. They did curry chicken like they did at CJ's. I'd be tearing them up. Anyway, kids. Education in Kenya is compulsory, just like it is in the States. And technically, yes, there is a free component. Free education in Kenya isn't that great. So most families with means opt to send their kids to, private, semi-private schools. That's what we do, and that's what we've always done with my son. The problem is, number one, the quality's not going to match what's in the States. Now, this isn't a concern that my wife and I have so much as American families coming to Kenya with American kids might have. Now hear this. If you want like one for one American education for your children, you're going to spend. I think like the international university, international schools here, there's a couple of decent ones. When you look at the tuitions, they range anywhere from about $15,000 to $30,000 a year plus. If you, again, this is to get one for one. This isn't even like, you know, you're going above and beyond what you would get for your kid in the States. This is just to meet the same overall standard, right? Quality of food, whatnot. You can academically, yeah, you can get your children get them right with much less expensive school. You got 50? Okay. I mean, you don't forget, most of those points are mine. You know, whatever. Okay. What was I saying? Yeah. So you're gonna pay. Yeah, academically, if you're more comfortable with them being more cultural, having a more culturally Kenyan experience, but still having a academically American standard, you can spend less. But at those higher end schools, you don't have to worry about the teachers' English. You're not going to have to worry about the teachers culturally. Everybody's going to kind of be at that upper level socioeconomics. That also comes with its own. Yeah, 53. That also comes with its own issues. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, so quality of education, you can save, but it is going to require a lot more cultural awareness. Kids probably going to need to speak a little bit more Swahili than if you just spend the higher end, like one of the top tier schools. You also have to think for a lot of the students at these higher end universities, that's part of their ticket to getting to an American university. An American citizen, not to sound like a butthead, but this is something that, again, me and my wife are concerned about with my daughter. We want her to have these things, but she's not going to have to compete as hard as a kid who's Kenyan and doesn't have basically a free ticket to the United States. Did you get a strike? Oh, you did. Oh, snap! I got a little. Okay, good job. So, again, it's not about not concern, but spending the high tier education dollars. It's not something I feel I need to do, because the opportunities for my daughter are going to be roughly equivalent to a normal American kid, regardless of where she goes, as long as she meets the normal academic standards here. Kind of wheeling back to the point I made about higher end and socioeconomic status.
Okay, so I decided to come home and finish recording because that bowling alley was really freaking loud, and it gives me the chance to get on my laptop and show you some of the prices and kind of finish the conversation that I was having or I wanted to talk about when it came to classism and stuff that goes on in Kenya. So this is the Brick House School. This is probably like the top tier school in Kenya, right? And this is trying to get a one-to-one education for your kid in Kenya, right? So Brick House, these are your fee schedule, right? So I think my daughter's in year 4. That's $700,000, so $7,000 per term, and there's 3 terms per year. So you're looking at, what's 725? Let's see here, 725 Kish to USD. I'm not adding the other zeros. So you're looking at $5,000, a little over $5,000, $5,500, almost $6,000, probably once you add in all the other fees together per term. So $18,000 a year. Kind of getting close to almost American private schools, right? That's Brick House. Then you've got Brayburn, another top tier private school, right? Kenya. What's the fee structure, right? Year 1 to 6. Annual tuition fee is $2 million 2 million is kind of just shy of like $20,000. It's 2 million. Let's see what it looks like. It's $15,000, right? Okay, that's Brayburn, Banda School. I think this is a Dutch-based school, international school. But their fee structure, early years fees, 1 to 8 fees. Oh, this one doesn't even have older kids. All right, 1 to 8 fee structure. Oh, year 1 to 8, there we go. 8 years old. Come on, load up. All right, Banda School fees. And remember, this is per term, so $785 per term. Again, almost $6,000. You're looking at $18,000 a year after everything gets added up. Greenstead School, right? Fee schedule. Junior School. That's day fee. Interesting. This one's actually not that expensive. It's about $2,000 per term. So you're looking at total. And see, like Sports Academy, other stuff like those are things that you usually have to pay for. Like we have, my daughter goes to like swimming and taekwondo and all these other extracurriculars. So Hillcrest International, right? Fee structure. And again, 2 million, up in the 2 million annual tuition fee. And once you get up there, it's almost 30. So definitely over $20,000, almost scratching 30, right? International School of Kenya. This is a US-based international school, right? Tuition fees. They just straight up put it in the one-time fees, right? Put it in USD, right? Look at this. Look how much this is. $35,000 grades 9 to 10, right? So this is to get an equivalent. It's matched with a US-style education system, right? 1-to-1 with not even top-tier school in the States, right? It's good. It's going to be a good education, but it's not like a top tier, right? Like if you're gonna pay $33,000 a year, $34,000 a year at a private school in the States, the networking, the stuff that your kids go through there is just gonna be better because it's in the US. So yeah, like quality of education isn't bad. You just have to weigh things, right? Weigh things when it comes to your kids' education. Okay, and then the other part I was talking about when it comes to like classism. Kenya's, it's a growing country, it's a growing middle class, and a lot of these people want good things for their kids. They want their kids to have access to iPhones and cars and fashionable bags and nice shoes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they will, they might bully other kids, right? Maybe you're coming to Kenya and you want your kids to have, something decent, but you're not concerned like I am, right? I'm not super concerned about, my daughter having the latest iPhone or the latest whatever, insert fashion trend that's going on in what her school. I don't care about it because, her future is not necessarily bound to being in Kenya. She's probably going to go to college. She's, going to go to college in the States, right? She's going to have a network that's going to be international by virtue of who she is, right? Now, I'm not like famous or anything, but I'm just an American. Even if you're ignoring, or even if you take into account current events, the United States is still very strongly one of the best bets out there, especially relative to Kenya. So it's not something that I'm really worried about with her, is keeping up with the trends so that she doesn't get bullied, right?
Like, it's kind of dumb, but it bothers her. And that's something that, you know, an American student might face. Unless you're willing to shell out, you know, for every little thing, you know, it kind of starts defeating the purpose of coming to Kenya to, you know, have a different life and maybe save money. Because a lot of those things that kids experience here are more expensive than they are in the States. Like an iPhone, you know, that you might spend, I don't even remember how much I spent on my iPhone, but like $1,000 on in the US cash is going to be, you know, $1,500, $2,000 here, just because import fees, you know, and you know, you want to get genuine. So yeah, I was going to go into a long diatribe about like classism and how, you know, the nouveau riche, not even riche, just like nouveau middle class, you know, treats average Kenyans and, you know, how they move through the world. But I think everyone kind of understands that, like, Kenya is growing, you know, more Kenyans are getting money nowadays than ever before. So, you know, when they have kids and they're kind of douchey, then those kids tend to be kind of douchey. And then when those kids are kind of douchey, they treat their classmates, you know, their fellow classmates kind of douchey. So, you know, by virtue of being an American, setting foot in Kenya, you're gonna be definitely part of the top 10%, very realistically part of the top 1%. And, you know, people are gonna wanna compete, they're gonna jostle. There's gonna be kids who are jealous because your kids are American, or jealous because your kids are Kenyan but have the opportunity to go to America. There's a whole lot of things that kind of come on top of that. But that's really all I got. If you like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm gonna have more stuff coming, more reactions, hopefully more stuff kind of explaining what goes on in Kenya. And I look forward to getting more viewers. All right.